Imagine starting a fight, getting knocked out cold, and then suing the referee. That's essentially what Drake just did. In what might be the most unprecedented move in hip-hop history, Drake has filed federal lawsuits against his own record label after Kendrick Lamar's devastating diss track, Not Like Us, obliterated his reputation. This isn't just about bruised egos anymore. We're talking courtrooms, judges, and legal precedents that could forever change how rap battles work. Welcome to Legal Suit Decoded, where today we're breaking down how the biggest rap beef of the decade escalated from studio sessions to federal court sessions. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why Drake's legal maneuver might be even more self-destructive than the beef itself. And trust me, what his lawyers are trying to argue in court will leave you questioning everything you know about the music industry. But before we dive into the lawsuit details, we need to rewind and understand how we got here. Because this isn't just about a diss track, it's about how a single song became so culturally devastating that a global superstar is now claiming it amounts to corporate sabotage. The tension between Drake and Kendrick had been simmering for years, but in April 2024, Drake decided to turn up the heat. He released 2 diss tracks aimed directly at Kendrick Lamar. First came Push-Ups, where Drake mocked Kendrick's height in his pop collaborations, essentially calling him a sellout. But Drake wasn't done. He followed up with Tailor-Made Freestyle, which crossed a line many felt was unforgivable. In that track, Drake used AI-generated versions of Tupac and Snoop Dogg to attack Kendrick. Yes, you heard that right. Drake digitally resurrected Kendrick's idol and a West Coast legend to criticize Kendrick. This move was so controversial, it prompted cease and desist letters from Tupac's estate. It was like Drake was begging for destruction, and destruction is exactly what he got. Now, if you're following this story just for the drama, you might want to pay close attention to what happens next. Because Kendrick's response wasn't just a comeback, it was an execution. Kendrick Lamar responded with a trilogy of diss tracks that systematically dismantled Drake's entire persona. First came Euphoria, then 616 in LA, but it was the third track, Meet the Grams, that had people checking if Drake was still breathing. Kendrick didn't just attack Drake's music. He went after his character, his authenticity, his relationships, even suggesting some deeply troubling behaviors with detailed allegations. But the nuclear strike was yet to come. In May 2024, Kendrick dropped Not Like Us, and the hip-hop world would never be the same. This wasn't just a diss track, it was a cultural phenomenon that transformed a rap beef into a public referendum on Drake's entire career. What made Not Like Us different from every other diss track in history? For starters, its popularity was unprecedented. The track hit 1 billion streams faster than most carefully planned album releases. It dominated radio, social media, and became the soundtrack to countless viral videos. People who had never cared about rap beef were suddenly reciting lines from the song. Then came the accolades. Not Like Us swept 5 Grammy categories. Yes, you heard correctly, 5 Grammy Awards for a diss track. This had never happened before. The Recording Academy essentially validated Kendrick's takedown of Drake on music's biggest stage. The song transcended the beef to become something much larger, a testament to Kendrick's artistry and a damning indictment of Drake's entire persona. But the Super Bowl moment? That's when Drake truly realized he had lost the war. During his halftime performance, Kendrick paused and asked the crowd, "You want me to perform their favorite song, but you know they love to sing it. What song?" "Yeah, that song." And suddenly, thousands of fans in unison began chanting the hook from Not Like Us, like it was the national anthem of Drake's downfall. This public humiliation was apparently the final straw. But Drake didn't respond with bars. He responded with lawyers. Now here's where things get really interesting. After suffering this unprecedented public defeat, Drake did something no major rapper has ever done before. In January 2025, he filed a defamation lawsuit, not against Kendrick Lamar, but against Universal Music Group, the label that represents both artists. Why sue UMG instead of Kendrick directly? That's the million-dollar question, and the answer reveals just how desperate Drake's position has become. By targeting the label instead of Kendrick, Drake's trying to frame himself as the victim of corporate manipulation rather than the loser of a rap battle he started. According to Drake's lawsuit, UMG didn't just release Kendrick's diss track, they orchestrated an elaborate campaign to ensure its success. Drake claims the label used bots to artificially inflate streaming numbers, made under-the-table promotional deals, and offered financial incentives to radio stations and platforms to keep Not Like Us in heavy rotation. Drake's legal team is essentially arguing that this wasn't a fair fight. They're claiming that UMG turned what should have been a standard rap beef into a corporate-backed character assassination campaign. And they're not just talking about hurt feelings. The lawsuit alleges that UMG's promotion of the track directly led to real-world consequences, including violent incidents outside Drake's Toronto mansion. But here's what makes this case truly unprecedented. Drake is asking the court to establish that a record label can be held legally responsible for the content and impact of diss tracks they release and promote. He's trying to create a legal precedent that could fundamentally change how the music industry approaches artist conflicts. Think about it. If Drake wins this case, what happens to hip-hop's tradition of battle rap? Would labels stop releasing diss tracks altogether? Would artists have to water down their lyrics to avoid legal consequences? This could be the beginning of the end for one of hip-hop's most fundamental traditions. Universal Music Group's response to the lawsuit was exactly what you might expect from a corporate giant, a mixture of legal jargon and thinly veiled contempt. They filed a motion to dismiss, calling Drake's claims illogical and without merit. Reading between the lines, UMG's position boils down to, Drake wanted smoke, got incinerated, and now he's mad there's ash on his Jordans. The label argues that promoting a successful song is literally their job, regardless of its content. They claim they didn't do anything for Not Like Us that they wouldn't do for any other potentially viral track. And they're pushing back hard against the idea that they should be held responsible for how the public received the song. But here's where the plot thickens. Despite UMG's attempts to get the case thrown out, Judge Jeanette Vargas recently handed Drake a significant victory. She granted his legal team permission to begin the discovery process, allowing them to request internal documents, emails, contracts, and executive communications related to the promotion of Not Like Us. This is a much bigger deal than it might initially sound. Discovery means Drake's lawyers can now dig through UMG's internal files, looking for any evidence that the label deliberately pushed Not Like Us as part of a coordinated campaign against Drake. They'll be searching for emails where executives discuss the beef, marketing plans that specifically target Drake's reputation, or any unusual promotional spending that could suggest special treatment. UMG fought hard to prevent this, arguing that the discovery process would be unnecessarily burdensome and costly, which is a fascinating claim from a company that reportedly spent $4 million promoting a DJ Khaled single. Drake's lawyer, Michael Gattado, didn't mince words when he said, "We'll uncover what UMG was eager to conceal." Translation, the real drama is just beginning. The implications of this case extend far beyond Drake and Kendrick. If Drake somehow prevails, it could fundamentally transform how artists express themselves in conflict. Imagine a world where every diss track has to be vetted by legal teams before release, where labels refuse to distribute contentious music for fear of liability, where the raw, unfiltered nature of battle rap gets sanitized through legal concerns. We could be looking at the death of the diss track as we know it. Battle rap becomes courtroom drama, bars become legal exhibits, mic drops get replaced by depositions. The very essence of hip-hop's competitive spirit could be sterilized by legal precedent. And the irony in all of this is impossible to ignore. Drake, who built much of his early career on emotional vulnerability and authenticity, is now trying to use the legal system to shield himself from the consequences of a battle he initiated. From certified lover boy to certified litigator. The transformation is as dramatic as it is desperate. The timeline moving forward is clear. Discovery is now underway, with Drake's team sifting through UMG's internal communications. UMG's motion to dismiss will be heard on June 30th, potentially ending the case before it really begins. Until then, Drake will be somewhere between his therapist's office and his lawyer's war room, while Kendrick continues polishing his Grammys for a diss track that became a cultural milestone. So what's the real lesson here? Perhaps it's that in the age of social media and global connectivity, the stakes of rap beef have never been higher. What once stayed contained within hip-hop circles now becomes worldwide entertainment with real-world consequences. Or perhaps it's simpler than that. Don't start what you can't finish. Drake suing UMG over a diss track is like trying to sue gravity after falling off your own high horse. He's not upset about unfair promotion. He's upset because Kendrick created a people's anthem out of his downfall. He's not concerned about defamation. He's concerned that the public believed every word Kendrick said. As we wait for the next development in this unprecedented case, one thing remains abundantly clear. Drake asked for a rap war and ended up like a burnt turkey. Now he's crying to the feds like the kid who brought a Nerf gun to a gunfight and got mad when he lost. The question isn't whether Drake can win this lawsuit. It's whether he's already lost something far more valuable: his credibility as an artist who can stand on his own 2 feet in hip-hop's competitive arena. What do you think? Is Drake justified in suing UMG? Or is this the final desperate move of someone who lost a battle he started? Let me know in the comments below. And if you haven't heard Not Like Us yet, well, according to Drake's lawsuit, you might be the only one. Thanks for watching Legal Suit Decoded, where rap beefs end up in federal court, and the only bars that matter come with legal citations.